Commander Jack Miller sat alone in his office on the moon base, staring at the screen in front of him. The message he had intercepted was not meant for human eyes. He ran his hand through his short brown hair and sighed. After 15 years of service in the Earth Defense Force, he had learned to trust his gut. And right now, his gut was telling him something was very wrong. The Galactic Council had welcomed humans to their meetings 8 years ago. They smiled and spoke of peace and cooperation. But they never gave humans a real vote. They never shared their best technology. They always had excuses. Jack looked at the strange symbols on his screen again. The message had come from the Council's Earth Embassy. It was heavily encrypted, sent on a channel that should not exist. Jack was only able to catch it because of a detection system he had built himself. He picked up his secure phone and called the one person he knew could help. "Diana, it's Jack. I need you at the moon base. Tonight. Don't tell anyone you're coming." Diana Ross was the best intelligence specialist in the EDF. She had a way of seeing patterns that others missed. 4 hours later, she walked into Jack's office, her dark eyes alert despite the late hour. "This better be good, Jack. I was in the middle of dinner with my parents." Jack pointed to the screen. "I can't decode this, but I know it's not supposed to exist. The council representatives are communicating with someone off-grid." Diana sat down and studied the symbols. "You're right to be concerned. This isn't in any language the council has shared with us." She tapped a few keys. "I need Paul Green for this." Paul was a xenolinguist who had learned 7 alien languages in just 3 years. When he arrived the next morning, his eyes lit up at the challenge. "This will take time," he said, "but I can work on it." Over the next week, the 3 of them worked in secret. Jack continued his normal duties during the day, then spent nights helping Diana and Paul. They set up a secure room deep in the moon base where they could work without being monitored. On the 8th day, Paul burst into the room, his face pale. "I've got it. It's not good." He showed them what he had discovered. The messages were between the council representatives and a species called the Vrex, a species that was not officially part of the council. "The Vrex have controlled the council from behind the scenes for centuries," Paul explained. "And according to these messages, they see humans as food." Diana pulled up records of all technology transfers between Earth and the council. "Look at this pattern. Every defensive system they've given us has a backdoor. They've been setting us up." Jack felt cold anger rise in his chest. "For how long?" "Since first contact," Diana said. "Every treaty, every agreement has weakened us in some way. We thought we were becoming part of a peaceful galactic community. Instead, they'd been preparing us for slaughter." The 3 of them stared at each other as the truth sank in. "We need proof that will convince the admirals," Jack finally said. "And we need to find out how much time we have." Paul pointed to a series of symbols. "According to this message, something called the harvesting is scheduled to begin in 3 months. Then we have 3 months to save humanity," Jack said. "And we can't trust any official channels. The council has spies everywhere." Diana nodded. "I can get into the embassy, find concrete evidence. And I'll keep decoding these messages," Paul added. "Maybe we can learn their weaknesses." Jack looked at his 2 friends. They were risking everything based on his suspicions, but he knew they were right. The Galactic Council had been lying from the start. The handshakes, the smiles, the promises of friendship, all part of a plan to destroy humanity. "Let's get to work," he said. "No one else can know until we have proof no one can deny." Captain Olivia Martinez stood on the bridge of the EFS Valiant, her eyes fixed on the small blip at the edge of her radar screen. The ship was unlike any she had seen before. It was too small for a council vessel and moved in strange patterns. "Sam, what do you make of that?" she asked her tactical officer. Sam Winters adjusted his glasses and studied the readings. "Not one of ours, not council standard design. It's trying to stay hidden, Captain." Olivia made a quick decision. She had served with Jack Miller years ago and trusted him completely. Instead of reporting the strange ship through normal channels, She sent him a private message. 6 hours later, the Valiant had trapped the alien ship against the dark side of Pluto. It was sleek and black, built for speed and stealth. "No response to our hails," Sam reported. Jack Miller's voice came through on the secure channel. "Capture that ship if you can, Olivia. We need what's inside." The alien vessel tried to escape, firing strange energy weapons that left burn marks on the Valiant's hull. But Olivia was ready. She had Sam fire the new magnetic nets that tangled the ship's engines. Then her crew boarded the disabled vessel. What they found inside made them sick. The walls were lined with containers holding body parts from different species. The alien pilot had killed itself rather than be captured, but its computer core was intact. "We're taking this, then destroying all evidence," Olivia told her crew. "Official report will say we found space debris. Nothing more." She sent the data core to Jack on the moon base. Then she fired on the empty alien ship until nothing remained but floating metal bits. Meanwhile, Diana Ross had been busy. Using her clearance as an intelligence specialist, she gained access to the Council's Earth Embassy. She wore a maintenance uniform and carried tools that hid her real equipment. The embassy was mostly empty at night. Diana slipped into air ducts and crawled through maintenance tunnels. She placed tiny cameras and listening devices in meeting rooms and private offices. Most importantly, she hacked into the embassy's private computer network. What she found confirmed their worst fears. The Council had been reporting Earth's weaknesses to the Vrex for years. They had maps of all Earth's defense systems and detailed files on human biology. Diana also discovered a list of human officials who were working with the Council. Some had been bribed with advanced technology. Others had been threatened. But most disturbing was Senator Eric Campbell, whose file noted, "Replacement complete. Original disposed." Diana nearly dropped her tablet. The Council had replaced a human senator with something else. A copy that looked and acted like Eric Campbell, but wasn't him. As she was downloading the files, Diana heard voices approaching. She quickly disconnected and slipped back into the air duct. 2 Council members walked below her, speaking in their own language. Back at the moon base, Paul Green was making progress with the Vrex language. The data core from the scout ship was a goldmine of information. "The Vrex consume sentient species," he explained to Jack. "Not just for food, but as part of their life cycle. They believe eating intelligent beings makes them stronger." "How many have they taken?" Jack asked. "Dozens, over thousands of years," Paul said. "They use the Council as a front. They find developing civilizations, pretend to welcome them, then weaken them from inside." Jack looked at the decoded invasion plans. 3 months. That's when they plan to start taking us. Paul nodded. "The first wave targets our major cities. They don't just want to win, Jack. They want to farm us." Jack's face hardened. "Not if I can help it. We need to show this to someone with the power to fight back." "Who can we trust?" Paul asked. Jack smiled for the first time in days. "Admiral Heather White. She's been warning about alien threats for years. Everyone thought she was paranoid. Turns out, she wasn't paranoid enough." Admiral Heather White stood with her hands behind her back, looking out at the stars through the view screen. She was a tall woman with silver hair cut short in military style. For 15 years, people had laughed at her warnings about alien threats. Now, as she watched Jack Miller's presentation, no one was laughing. "You've done good work, Commander," she said when Jack finished showing her the evidence. "But I'm not surprised. I've never trusted the Council." Jack exchanged looks with Diana and Paul. "Admiral, we need resources to fight back. We have 3 months at most." Admiral White smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Follow me." She led them to her private shuttle. They flew for 6 hours, deep into the rings of Neptune. The icy rocks hid them from any watching eyes. Finally, they approached what looked like a large mining facility. "Welcome to Project Safeguard," Admiral White said as they docked. Inside, Jack, Diana, and Paul gasped. The facility was enormous. And it was not a mining operation. 12 battleships, Admiral White said proudly, each one more advanced than anything Earth has officially built. The Council thinks our best ships are the Defender class. These are 5 generations ahead. Workers moved around the massive ships, adding weapons and finishing details. Each battleship was sleek and dark, built for both power and speed. How did you build all this in secret? Diana asked. Very carefully, Admiral White answered, and with help from people who share my concerns. Let me introduce you to our chief engineer. Alan Garcia was a short man with clever eyes and oil-stained hands. The Council gave us engine technology that was 50 years old, he explained as he showed them around one of the ships. We reverse-engineered it, then improved it. These ships can move faster than anything the Council has shown us. What about weapons? Jack asked. Alan grinned. That's the best part. We've developed energy weapons that operate outside the standard detection frequencies. The Council won't know we're firing until it's too late. For the first time since discovering the conspiracy, Jack felt hope. But he knew ships alone wouldn't be enough. We need a strategy, he said, and people we can trust to execute it. Admiral White nodded. I've been building a team for years. People whose loyalty to Earth is absolute. She introduced them to Nicole Ford, a tactical analyst with a mind like a computer, and Daniel Harris, an expert in covert operations. Both had been working on Project Safeguard since the beginning. We've run thousands of battle simulations, Nicole explained, showing them holographic displays of various attack patterns. We can defend Earth against a direct assault. But the Council's deception makes things complicated. They could attack from within. Daniel nodded. We need to identify and neutralize all compromised officials before the Vrex make their move. Senator Campbell is just the beginning. Jack looked at the team Admiral White had assembled. They were ready for this fight in ways he hadn't expected. But there was still a problem. The Council has been establishing bases throughout our solar system, he said. Official research stations that are actually forward military positions. We know, Daniel said. We've been watching them. When the time comes, we can hit them all at once. Diana had been studying the ship designs. These vessels are amazing. But the Council has thousands of ships. How can 12 battleships make a difference? Admiral White's eyes narrowed. Because, Ms. Ross, we have something they don't expect. Surprise. The Council thinks we're sheep waiting for slaughter. They have no idea we've been preparing for war. Paul looked worried. But they'll be sending their scout ships soon. The ones like Captain Martinez found. Let them come, Admiral White said. Each one will tell us more about our enemy. And none will return to report what they found. Jack nodded. The pieces were falling into place. Earth had a chance after all. Lieutenant Frank Rodriguez yawned as he stared at the monitors in Lunar Command's security center. The midnight shift was always boring, but tonight seemed especially quiet. Too quiet. Frank had worked security for 5 years. He knew the normal patterns of the defense systems. Tonight, something felt off. The readings were correct, but they were too perfect, like someone had put the system on a loop. He ran a manual check of the planetary shield network. The main computer said everything was fine. But when Frank checked each shield generator individually, he found problems. 3 generators in North America were offline. 2 in Asia were running at half power. At the same moment, a Council ship docked at the lunar base. The official reason was a diplomatic meeting, but Frank knew those usually happened during the day. Not at 2 in the morning. Frank called his supervisor, but got no answer. He tried the base commander. Nothing. His heart beat faster as he realized what was happening. They were under attack, but in a way no one had expected. He hit the emergency override, disconnecting the main defense computers from the network. Then he activated the backup systems. Red lights flashed throughout the base as alarms sounded. Security breach in progress. Frank announced over the base intercom. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. On Earth, People looked up to see the planetary shields flicker. For a moment, Earth was defenseless. But thanks to Frank's quick action, the shields came back online before any attack could happen. The council representatives were furious. They demanded to speak with the base commander. They claimed it was all a misunderstanding, that they were here for routine maintenance of shared systems. A solar flare disrupted your defense network, the lead council member said smoothly. We came to help repair it. But Frank had captured logs showing the council ship sending signals that matched the defense system failures. He sent copies to Jack Miller and Admiral White. They're testing our defenses, Jack told Admiral White as they reviewed the data, seeing how easily they can shut us down. Admiral White nodded. They moved earlier than we expected. We need to accelerate our plans. She issued new orders to her hidden fleet. The ships would deploy throughout the solar system under the cover of training exercises. Official records would show routine maneuvers, while the advanced battleships took strategic positions near each council research station. Captain Olivia Martinez was given command of 2 ships. Her mission was to patrol the outer solar system, watching for more scout ships like the one she had captured. The council will claim this was all a technical problem, Daniel Harris said during the emergency meeting. They'll say Lieutenant Rodriguez overreacted. Let them, Admiral White replied. It gives us cover to move our forces into position. They think they're still in control of the situation. Diana Ross had identified 27 human officials who had been compromised by the council, including 3 high-ranking military officers. Daniel's teams quietly removed these people from their posts, citing medical emergencies or sudden transfers. We're playing a dangerous game, Jack said. If the council realizes we know about their plans, they might attack immediately. They won't, Nickel Ford said confidently. The Vrex need a specific harvest schedule. According to the data we've decoded, they're not ready for full invasion yet. This was just a test of our vulnerabilities. Paul Green continued working on the Vrex communications. He discovered something disturbing. Earth isn't their only target, he told the others. There are 16 other worlds being prepared for harvesting. Some are even less advanced than us. Jack looked troubled. So even if we save ourselves, billions of other beings will die, Paul finished. Admiral White frowned. One problem at a time. Earth comes first. But Jack wasn't sure he agreed. If humans escaped the trap while letting others fall into it, what did that say about humanity? Frank Rodriguez was brought to Neptune Base as a reward for his quick thinking. When he saw the hidden fleet, his eyes went wide. We're really going to fight the entire council? He asked. No, Jack replied. Just the monsters controlling it from the shadows. Jack Miller couldn't sleep. The knowledge that 16 other worlds faced the same fate as Earth kept him awake. He sat in the small office aboard Neptune Base, surrounded by screens showing data stolen from the Council's networks. Diana Ross entered with 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Jack and sat across from him. We need to get into their main database, Jack said. What we have is just pieces of the puzzle. Diana nodded. I've been working with Ben Howard from the cyber team. We think we found a way in. Ben was a quiet man with quick fingers and a brilliant mind for breaking computer security. He had helped Diana set up the monitoring devices in the Council embassy. 6 hours later, the 3 of them had broken through 7 layers of Council security. What they found made them sit in shocked silence. 17 worlds, Ben whispered, looking at the harvest schedule. Some of these species don't even have space travel yet. Diana scrolled through the files. Look at this. They've been doing this for thousands of years. Each time, they follow the same pattern. First contact, technology sharing, alliance offers, then harvest. Jack studied the records of past harvests. The Vrex take about 20% of each population in the first wave. Then they leave caretakers behind to manage the rest like cattle. Ben pulled up more files. They come back every few decades for another harvest. They keep the population controlled but breeding. Some species have been managed this way for centuries. My God, Diana whispered. It's a farm system. On a galactic scale. Jack felt sick. The council that Earth had been so proud to join was nothing but a front for monsters, and humans were just the latest livestock to be added to their pens. The next day, Jack took the information to Admiral White. She listened without interruption, her face growing harder with each new detail. This doesn't change our plans, she said when he finished. We defend Earth. That's our mission. But what about the other worlds? Jack asked. Some of them have no idea what's coming. No way to defend themselves. Admiral White frowned. Commander, we barely have enough resources to protect Earth. We can't save everyone. Jack understood her position, but it didn't feel right. He gathered his team that evening. Diana, Paul, Ben, Nicole, and Daniel. I believe we have a moral duty to warn the other worlds, he told them. Even if we can't save them all, they deserve a chance to fight back or escape. Nicole Ford, the tactical analyst, shook her head. That would alert the council to what we know. We lose the element of surprise. Maybe that's a price worth paying, Paul argued. 17 worlds. Billions of lives. Daniel Harris, ever the practical one, raised another point. If we only save ourselves, the Vrex will still have 16 other worlds to harvest. They'll grow stronger, and they'll remember what humans did. They'll come back for us eventually. Diana nodded. Daniel's right. This isn't just about doing the right thing. It's also strategic. We need as many of these worlds fighting back as possible. Jack looked at his friends. They had started this journey trying to save Earth. Now they were talking about saving the galaxy. We need to convince Admiral White, he said. The next morning they presented their case to the Admiral. Jack spoke of moral duty. Diana talked about strategic advantages. Nicole showed simulations of how coordinated resistance could divide Vrex forces. Admiral White listened to them all. Then she was quiet for a long time. I can't commit our main forces to this, she finally said. Earth comes first. But I can give you one ship, the smallest in our fleet. If you can find a way to warn these worlds without exposing our preparations, you have my permission. Jack felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Thank you, Admiral. Don't thank me yet, Commander, she replied. This mission is nearly impossible. Choose your crew carefully. Jack already knew who he wanted. Captain Olivia Martinez would command the ship. With her skill and courage, they might have a chance. Captain Olivia Martinez stood on the bridge of the EFS Valiant, watching her crew prepare for the most important mission of their lives. Jack Miller had explained everything to her. Their task was nearly impossible, but she had never backed down from a challenge. All systems ready, Captain. Sam Winters reported from the tactical station. Engineer Garcia's stealth modifications are online. Alan Garcia had worked for 3 days straight, adding special shielding to the Valiant. The ship could now travel undetected by Council sensors, at least for short periods. Our first target is Luton 726, Jack said, pointing to a star map. The Brevoy lived there. They joined the Council just 30 years ago. The Valiant slipped out of the solar system, using a new flight path designed by Nicole Ford to avoid Council patrols. The journey took 12 days. When they arrived, they found a beautiful blue world with 3 small moons. Now comes the hard part, Jack said. We need to contact their leaders without the Council representatives knowing. Diana Ross had studied the Brevoy culture. They have a resistance movement already. Some of them suspect the Council is not what it seems. Using encrypted channels, they made contact with a Brevoy named Kareth. At first, he did not believe their warning. But when they showed him the evidence taken from the Council database, his 4 eyes widened in shock. We knew something was wrong, Kareth said through the translator. But this is worse than we imagined. The Brevoy agreed to spread the warning among their people. They would prepare in secret for the coming harvest. Over the next 3 weeks, the Valiant visited 5 more worlds. Each time, They found someone willing to listen. Some species were afraid. Others were angry. All of them wanted to live. Jack sent regular updates to Admiral White. "The alliance is growing," he reported. 6 worlds now know the truth. They're sharing resources, preparing defenses. Meanwhile, Daniel Harris led a special mission back in the solar system. His team of 12 soldiers used a small, fast ship to reach the asteroid belt, where the Vrex had built a secret outpost. "We need to know more about their capabilities," Daniel told his team. "This is a raid, not a battle. Get in, gather intel, get out." The raid was dangerous. The Vrex had powerful weapons and were physically stronger than humans. 2 of Daniel's soldiers died in the fighting, but they succeeded in capturing the outpost's data core and several Vrex weapons. Before leaving, they planted explosives throughout the base. The explosion was visible from Mars, a bright flash in the darkness of space. The Council immediately sent ships to investigate. They found nothing but floating debris. But they knew someone had discovered their secret outpost. On the Valiant, Jack received news of the raid's success and the Council's reaction. "They're starting to realize something's wrong," he told his crew. "We need to move faster." The next world on their list was the furthest away, a planet called Nerok, home to a species that had only recently developed radio technology. The Vrex had marked them for future harvesting. "These people have no defenses at all," Paul Green said sadly. "When the Vrex come, they'll have no chance." "Then we give them a chance," Olivia decided. "We share what technology we can." Against Admiral White's orders, they gave the Nerokians plans for simple shield generators and energy weapons. It wasn't much, but it might help some of them survive. As they left Nerok, the Valiant's sensors detected multiple Council ships changing course toward Earth. "They know," Diana said, her face pale. "The Council knows we've discovered their plan." Jack nodded grimly. "We've warned 7 worlds. 10 more to go, and our time is running out." Olivia set course for the next planet. "Then we better hurry." Back on Earth, Admiral White received Jack's report and the sensor data showing Council ships moving toward the solar system. She activated the emergency alert system. All across Earth, military bases went to high alert. The hidden fleet moved into defensive positions. The waiting was over. The fight for survival had begun. Admiral Heather White stood in the command center of Neptune Base, watching as hundreds of Council ships entered the solar system. Around her, officers worked at their stations, faces tight with tension but movements steady. Years of training had prepared them for this moment. "Status of the fleet?" she asked. "All ships in position, Admiral," her second-in-command reported. "Defense platforms activated and hidden. Earth shields at maximum power." The ESS Valiant had returned just in time, slipping past the Council blockade. Jack Miller, Captain Martins, and their crew now stood with Admiral White, ready for what would come next. "We warned 13 of the 17 worlds," Jack reported. "Not all believed us, but most did." "It will have to be enough," Admiral White said. She turned to face them all. "Today we stand not just for Earth, but for all free people of this galaxy. The Council's lies end now." She nodded to the communications officer. "Open a channel to all Council ships and all Council worlds. Maximum broadcast strength." Jack stepped forward. This was the moment they had planned for. The moment when humanity would reveal that they knew the truth. "This is Commander Jack Miller of Earth," he began, his voice steady and clear. "For centuries, the Galactic Council has pretended to be a force for peace and cooperation. You have welcomed developing worlds into your community, shared limited technology, and made promises of friendship." The main screen showed Council ships moving into attack formation around Earth. "But we know the truth," Jack continued. "We know about the Vrex who control you from the shadows. We know about the harvest cycle that has consumed countless species. We have seen your records, your plans, your schedules for which worlds will be consumed next." Diana Ross stepped forward and sent files to accompany Jack's broadcast. Proof of the Council's deception, records of past harvests, plans for future ones. You believed humans were simple, trusting, and weak, Jack said. You were wrong. While you watched us through your embassy and your spies, we were watching you. While you prepared to harvest us, we prepared to fight. Admiral White gave the signal. Across the solar system, the hidden fleet dropped their stealth shields. 12 advanced battleships appeared near key council positions, on Earth and the Moon. Hidden defense platforms activated, their weapons aimed at council ships. We have shared our evidence with every world on your harvest schedule, Jack said. We have given them the knowledge and technology to defend themselves. Your cycle of predation is over. The council leaders were sending urgent messages now, demanding that Earth surrender, promising mercy. Jack ignored them. To prove we are serious, we will give you one demonstration, he said. Admiral White nodded to Captain Martinez. The Valiant fired a single shot from its main cannon. The energy beam streaked across space and struck one of Jupiter's uninhabited moons. The small moon exploded into fragments, the blast visible from Earth as a brief flash of light. Silence filled the communication channels. The council ships stopped advancing. That was one shot from one ship, Jack said into the silence. We have 12 such ships and hundreds of defense platforms. If you attack Earth or any world that has joined our alliance, we will respond with maximum force. Your choice is simple: retreat and leave us in peace, or face destruction. On screens across the command center, reports began coming in. On 7 worlds, people were rising up against their council representatives. Ships from 3 of the warned planets were moving to join Earth's defense fleet. You have preyed on developing civilizations for too long, Jack said, treating sentient beings as livestock. Today that ends. Today, the prey becomes the hunter. He paused, looking at his friends who had fought so hard to reach this moment. Diana, Paul, Olivia, Sam, Daniel, Nicole, Ben, Frank, and Admiral White. Together, they had changed the course of galactic history. This is humanity's final warning to the Frex and their council puppets, Jack said. You have one choice left. Escape while you still can. As he finished speaking, the command center erupted in cheers. On the main screen, the council ships were beginning to retreat, pulling back from Earth orbit. It was not the end of the fight. The Vrex would not give up their food source easily, but it was the beginning of something new. A true alliance of free worlds, standing together against the darkness that had hunted them for so long. And at the center of it all stood humanity, unexpected defenders of a galaxy in need of hope.